Okay, I gotta clear up a little misconception. Here we are in the Oak Grove area. Now, in the movie, Boston-based movie, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, there is a scene where Peter Boyle makes a gun deal to take somebody out. And it's a big debate whether this scene actually takes place here at Oak Grove. I am going to debunk this or validate it. Now, by all accounts, I am about to prove this to be true. Okay, now Peter could be seen waiting for the train up here, and then he's looking out that window. Now when it scales back, this is the parking lot in which he has the meeting. And in the background, you can see that structure right there. And you can see Peter's bald head walk across. And then they meet over here somewhere, and in the background there, the trains are back there, passing through. So, roll the footage or the picture of Peter Boyle's bald head in back of this structure.
I was wondering if you could handle something for us.
More than likely. He wouldn't do that unless he took out a will. So he dumped on Jimmy and Artie, the bastard.
Scal gave his lawyer that name, Coyle, to give this to
He says. $5 grand in front.
You get it when you do the job.
Tell him how you feel.
I'd be remiss to not mention Jimmy Seamus here. He lived in one of these houses over here. I spent many nights up there drinking and smoking marijuana cigarettes. The Clifton Street area, the courthouse. And right up there, I used to have tea with Ramona many times and her sister Tiana Pearl. Now, once you crossed this light here is where you would go into uncharted territory. Very dangerous, I kid you. This was the most peaceful place to visit. I spent summers here. Summers. Clifton Street. This house here, lovely family here. I don't think I was ever invited inside this house, but one of my dearest friends between 93 and 94, she was the type of girl, right, that if I walked into a club with 10 of my friends and then got beat up by 10 people, 10 dudes, she'd be the first one in to protect you. Funny thing is that's actually a true story. It's a true story. I went into Axis one night and got involved. Axis used to have the best Friday night, Saturday night, like club nights. And I hopped into a mosh pit, slipped on some vodka, and pulled a dude's shirt off his back. Next thing you know, I was getting strangled and kicked and punched, and someone took a big chunk of my hair, which started my baldness back then, and was waving it around like a fucking trophy. Next thing you know, I see bodies flying off. While I'm back up, getting choked out, bodies started flying off. It was Nicole, like laying dudes out. My 10 friends, my 10 dude friends, nowhere to be found. Next thing you know, I was head first like a torpedo out into the alley. 2 minutes later, so was Nicole. And we went and got a roast beef sandwich. Solid friend right here. Highest regards. Now we walk down a little ways. I have it all wrong. How could I skip this house? Shortly after my father died, I developed like an agoraphobia. I was stuck in the house for about 6 months, suffering panic attacks, and there was only one guy that was able to pull me out of it. His name, Tommy Kane, aka Tom Bruno. This guy brought me back out to society, got me playing my drums again, and I love this guy. I thought, you know, I used to like to wrestle my friends or whatever, and I says, you know what, Tommy, let's wrestle. He whooped my ass and tangled me up pretty good. There was one funny time that he thought he was going bald, and he shaved the top of his head and left the sides, and he looked like Ben Franklin. But I did put Tommy Kane into the figure 4 leg lock one time. He'll tell you about that. So from that point of Tommy Bruno getting me out of the house, he just walked me down the street 3 houses. 1, 2, and this place. This place was Grand Central Station. We are talking about 204 Clifton Street. Now this guy, well, his family of 9. Rosie B, Salvi B, running it all. But this guy here, I had to face him in the City Series. That was the first time I knew who he was. And I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand him. So, I don't know. We became cordial in high school, and he brought me over here. Let me know he played the keyboards, and he played Jump for me by Van Halen. I was like, that's pretty cool. And that was it. But we stayed in contact. But through it all, he would always let me know that he beat me in the City Series. Actually, he still does to this day. First thing I would do, we decided that we would do some music together. He had the grand piano in the living room, and I'd set up shop in the living room, and we would start writing material. So I would just come over here, right through that front door every day, go right to the kitchen and grab some freshly baked cookies every morning, smoke some marijuana cigarettes, and get to work. Now, I did the same thing with Bags as I did with Tom. I figured, you know, let's consummate the friendship with a wrestling match, and Bags tied me up. Well, he actually tied me up at Coyetemore first. We'll get to that. But up in that window there, one day, he decided to mess with me, and we grappled, and he tripped over a coffee table, and I wound up on top of him long enough for his mother to catch it and break it up, and that had me on top. So I'll always have that victory. Now, there was another golden spot here on this property. Let's go to it now. Once Bags and I got really serious, one of the hardest things to do in a band was get a practice space. We couldn't afford it. So Sal B had a little garage back there, and he allowed us to use it The only problem with the garage is it needed to be soundproofed. So Bags and I robbed every contractor site of all their lumber, and then we would pick piss-stained rug and put them in each crevice of where the 2x4s sat, and between the studs like insulation, and then cover it with all the plywood we stole. And we would bang our instruments to death. Nobody complained. It was a different time. And then Joe Day would walk his fat ass up from here. He would hear the music and then would invite himself in. And then it was all about, I don't know, 6 months before, it was about 6 months long before Sal shut it down. Well, naturally I was gonna get stopped by somebody, be like, what the fuck are you doing, man? The fur coat, you're fucking videotaping the fucking properties. So I had to like explain myself to the fucking neighbor what I was doing. Now, as for the houses of importance to me, we got two more to cover. Earl. Okay, I just got off the phone with Earl, and this has got to be it. He's home, he's gonna come out, and he's gonna be part of this documentary, and I will share a couple of stories with Earl. If that's 240, he said 236. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Earl Edwardson. Earl, I was just going over my stories of my time on Clifton Street.
Oh, what a good street.
I stopped at Tommy Bruno's house,
Tommy Bruno, Tommy Kane.
Nicole's house, and then sat at Bags' house for, oh, look at this.
What's up, brother?
Hold on, I gotta
What
put it
doing,
on.
man?
I was like, listen, man, I used to spend time here, and he's looking at me with a hairy eyeball. He was like, bro, are you a drug dealer or something, man? Look at you.
Yeah, right.
So I started name dropping. He's like,
yeah.
He says, all right, you're cool. I says, I got a couple more houses to hit down here. But like Earl and the McCarran houses, that's it.
Yeah.
And then I got to go to Coyetemore, do a little Gerbs talk there.
Oh, yeah, Clifton Street's a fucking street back in the day,
Oh,
man.
fuck yeah.
Joe Day?
Oh, I mentioned Joe Day coming up the
nice.
street.
You gotta go around the corner.
But I told the whole garage story about Chipper and I stealing the padding it up and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, and up there, my beloved family, the McCarran family. Maureen, Bruce, Mark, Khan, and of course the sister. My Alzheimer's is making me forget her name right now, but this is when I would come up the side driveway here in my jalopy, and Bruce would always be waiting. Bruce would always be waiting, be like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? The side driveway. And of course, Peter Miles, the godfather, the household name in my family for drums. The mailman, drummer extraordinaire. But God bless this house, God bless this family. I'll never forget Maureen. After my mother died, made sure that I was fed every day. And then I was over here for my first Easter by myself and ate with them. Sean was probably the only person at that time, Khan, was the only person I shut down. He was the only person allowed in and out of the house. I was too broken. But yeah, Khan knows. Love him to death. Lifelong brother. No matter how little I see him, the bond is in stone. So that's it for Clifton Street. Beside almost getting called the cops on by the neighbor over there, me coming in here with my Pimp Fur. He's like, bro, what are you doing? Taking video and pictures of I got tools here, man. So I started name dropping the Baglios. He says, all right, you're good. Can't forget Jason Webb. In that barn, that's where Tribal Wisdom was born, 1992. We had all our practices up in that barn. Love that family. Love that family. This is where I used to go in back of this school and whip Chipper's ass and stickball, so I was able to get even with him there. But that's not the grand finale of where I'm going. I think you all might get an idea. 196 Glenwood. The craziest house parties of this neighborhood there. But one of my favorite families ever, including one of my dearest friends ever. I don't have to explain some of the detailed stories that would take place at a party here, but I'm sure others can, because Joey was the hostess with the mostest. He would not tolerate any bullshit in his house. He'd even kick himself out of his own party sometimes. But Joey and I, at a time, we used to go out every night of the week, and I would pull up here to pick him up, and it would take him about 4 hours to get out, because he would put on his makeup, he'd wax his hair, make sure his sweater was tucked in, and then we'd go out and have a good time. Never once, ever, did we have any trouble. Joey never had trouble when he was with me. We were always just about a good time. Never any altercations. And then on the flip side, when I drop him off, I would be in the same spot at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and go around. And I'd drop him off, loaded, and he wouldn't get out of the car. I would have to sit out here until the sun came up while he talked my ear off. I'd be like, Joe, it's been nice talking to yourself. Let me go. And then finally he'd let me go. But it would take 4 hours to do so. Love the Noon family. Love them all. And here we are over the bridge to Coyetemore Park. Now this place here, my fucking seatbelt. Fuck it. I'm pulling over anyway. The gatekeepers of this park, from my opinion, from my view, Wayne Bratton lived here, I believe. Wayne Bratton, and I remember his girlfriend with the big bazookas, Renee. Nice people. But this right here, this was like the central meeting spot for people of this neighborhood. And the gatekeepers was Gerbs. You had to get through Gerbs. Gerbs was the gentle giant, nicest guy in the world, but he would snap your neck. He was a quiet assassin. He was a silent assassin, he was. And God bless Billy Brooks, the Eye. We called him the Eye because he just had this weird thing he would do. Like, he would greet you by mooning you. But it wasn't just a moon. He would moon you and then open up his asshole as far as he can open it. And it was just like this giant fucking orifice. Giant fucking orifice. I swear it had an eyeball in it, so I called him the Eye. And everybody called him the Eye. I loved it down here. There was never any trouble that I remember when I was down here. Except for one time, there was a party in one of these houses. And I'm sure someone who was there might remember it. Bags was there. Everybody was there. But somehow, at the end of the fight, my buddy Sam, Mike Samanti, was bitten in the back by Charisse. For whatever reason, I don't know. I never made it inside. I just showed up, and then Sam came out with a big bite mark on. I guess Charisse tried to whoop his ass because Mike was being out of line. That was the only trouble I seen down here. Loved it. Loved being here. Great people, great neighborhood. This, I don't even know what part of Malden you call this. So someone who lives in this area, please properly title it for me. Because I'm from Newland. There's Edgeworth, there's Maplewood, there's Linden. What is this area? All I know is it's classy. Peaceful. Now the last thing I'm going to cover here is a childhood memory of me even seeing this park. Stand by. Now on Saturday mornings, my father would take a annual trip to the post office. And I would always go everywhere with my dad. Everywhere. And the post office was the stop right before we would go to Town Line, breakfast store, donut shop, where my aunts all worked. Go ahead, motherfucker. And this post office is one of the only institutions left from my childhood. So my dad, you know, it was a different time back then, would pull here, right here in this spot where he could see me, and I would stare at this wall because he'd leave me in here for about 45 minutes. And I'd have to wait for him. And every now and then, again, someone could have kidnapped me, but whatever. My father had an aura about him. I think they knew. So I would look over here and I'd be like, Dad, what is this? What is this place? What is this place? Is it a zoo? You see, the post office still remains. It wasn't a zoo at all. Actually, this was the public pool. I was like, Dad, can I go over there? He was like, no way, son. They piss in that pool. We didn't have a pool, but we did have the Spataforas and the Sullivan, so we got our summer fills. But there were a lot of people in town who did not have a pool, and they used to pop in here in the dozens and hundreds even, just pissing all over the place in that pool. Heavy chlorine was needed. But this was the other side of Coyetemore, and I did not see the other side until I was about 17 years old. So I was still here in the Oak Grove area, so I'm gonna have to flop these pieces of footage around a little bit because I got them all out of order, but I would be remiss not to hit this area. This parking lot was home to many things. Shut this goddamn fucking seatbelt off. Metal spinners. Kyle Crosby used to spin metal here. Dave Nyland. And Bill Doughty, Mrs. Doughty would be overseeing all of it. Kyle Crosby made Chinese stars out of here and would whip them at people and bring them home to Linden. Kyle, I don't know which one this is. This has got to be it, right? So, here's the little secret cove of filth. Now, you'd have to go way back here and you'd get a source of entertainment. Two kinds of entertainment. Oak Grove Recording Studios. I recorded Green Dimension here with L.A. Joe in February of '02. So from I don't know what time to whatever time, this used to be, Tribal Wisdom did a gig here. Yeah. We did one of our comeback gigs here, but Oak Grove Studios, and behind these walls, Select Entertainment. What you're looking at, everybody, is the outside of what once was a porn studio. I'm not kidding you. Pornography was shot here. When we were recording in that middle door right here, you'd go up the stairs, music on the left, pornography on the right. So we had about a 1-month stint here. And every time I'd go up the stairs, I'd accidentally like go to the right, thinking that, you know, maybe they might need an extra, but only if they could conceal my identity. I was young and stupid then, but they would not let me in. But there would be buses out here in the middle of winter, buses, and pornography. Pornography, music, like peanut butter and jelly. And on this side, this is the place where Harcourt News moved to. Harcourt News moved to this area. Joe Nevin, Bruce McCarran. I worked there with them. And all up over here, the Nylands would be next street over. This isn't it. Dave, Eric, which one is it? Ripley? I don't want to intrude onto the property, just in case someone's living there. Ah, fuck it. Very special street. The Nylands lived in one of these houses. I'm not going to say which one. But many parties, many good times. And there used to be a fence that was attached to one of these houses that was detached from one of these houses, and a scrum. I'm going to leave out all of the names involved in that, but many great times on this street, in that house, with two of my dearest old friends, the Nylands. That is, I hope you enjoyed Malden Time Capsule, whatever side of Malden this is.